Marriage is about a man and a woman coming together to share the space that they have. What happens when you realize that indeed this space, you need some boundaries? We are talking about marriage boundaries, and from the word go, there are boundaries in marriage. 'To help us understand this exciting topic is this lovely couple that, by the way, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to say this because I saw these lovely people very many years ago. Oh, wow. But I thank God because you're here with us, and we are going to talk about marriage boundaries. Lillian and Felix, please say something to our viewer.
Thank you so much, Dave. We are glad to be here today, and so much excited to meet after such a long time. Mm-hmm. Yes, just like you've rightfully put it, mm-hmm. Marriage boundaries are things that we must look at in our marriages. Mm-hmm. Immediately. Hold on, Felix. Hold on that fire. I want Lillian to say hi, then I introduce. I'm coming back to you.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Lillian, say something to our viewer.
Thank you so much. We are glad to be here. We are here to help one another, and indeed we must say there must be boundaries in every marriage. Thank you.
Is that must with capital and bold?
Must.
We are already disagreeing. Let me welcome Richard and Tabitha. This couple is amazing.
Thank you.
They have been part of us for such a long time, and it is indeed a blessing to have you. Amen. Say something to our viewer.
Hello, viewer. Welcome.
Richard.
Thank you. Dave has told me to say something. Welcome, our viewer. Join us now in this discussion. We hope you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to learn today. Welcome.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You see, you're beginning to set boundaries, which I believe there should be no boundaries in marriage. Next to me is my lovely wife, Dush. Say something.
Hi, viewer. Welcome. May God bless you as you watch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are going to learn, and I can say that I am going to learn because, as Lillian puts it, a must. And Felix, let me come back to you.
You cut him short.
You were saying something. Go on, my brother.
Thank you. Yes, like I was saying, when you say I do, mm-hmm. then it means you have to be committed to one person.
Yes.
I'm not in any chance saying that you may not extend whatever you want to do to others, mm-hmm. but when you are in marriage, then you have your limits that must be in place. Mm-hmm. Yes, there must be boundaries in marriage, and that is what can build our marriages, and that is what can bring peace in our marries.
So we have two hardliners who are using the word must.
Yes,
and boundaries. Yes,
Dave,
Richard.
to that extent that Felix has said, I think there should be boundaries. Mm-hmm. There are things that once you say I do, then you will not do. Mm-hmm. There are those that will not do. Mm-hmm. And there are things when you say I do, you will do them forever, mm-hmm. for your lifetime. Mm-hmm. Those that interfere with your setup, with your marriage, must not be done, mm-hmm. and shouldn't be done. Mm-hmm. Now, whether it's a must, as Lydia has said, I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. There are people who probably do it and it's acceptable. There are those who will stop, mm-hmm. and they will never do anything, mm-hmm. to bring issues within the family, because they decide to stop it. Mm-hmm. Once they have said I do, then there is always the I don't. Mm-hmm. I won't. Uh-huh. I will not continue.
Yes.
Because we have to change.
Yes.
There are things which we have to change. Mm-hmm. Once we get into this partnership and we are married, there are things that we have to drop. There are things that we have to pick.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm wondering, probably my dear viewer is wondering, is this boundary in your house or outside your house. I think we need to make it so clear.
Yes, we,
Yeah.
we are coming to that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want us to start giving examples
Yes.
without understanding these boundaries.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Lillian, you wanted to say something. We have a verse here to read, but you can say it before we read this verse.
I wanted to say that the moment you agree to do something and then at one point you stop doing it, then you'll cause chaos. It means you didn't have a boundary. The boundary must be put in place right from the word go.
Yes.
But we see sometimes things change. And maybe some situations will have to just
Most
change.
of the
So
times.
sometimes we need not to be so much rigid. Yes, there are boundaries, but we need to be flexible so that that friction is not there.
And that is why we are going to talk about the boundaries. Remember we talked
What
about
they
time.
are.
We talked about physical space,
Yes.
the emotions. So at that point, we come to communication.
Yeah.
I didn't do this because of this.
Yes.
Wow. Do we have a fire extinguisher? Genesis chapter 2, verse 16 and 17.
Yes.
It says, let me read. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die.
Richard, what is that?
Those are boundaries. Those are limits to what you want to do, or what you are allowed to do, or what you should do, and what you should not do. They're boundaries.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And they are very extensive. But when we think about marriage, where do we fall to? What sort of boundaries would be appropriate, and which ones would not be appropriate in the whole sphere, in the whole space of marriage? Because we have these boundaries within our areas of marriage. I may have different boundaries between me and Tabitha, what I will not do, what she will not do, and we live with them comfortably, because she has left what she was doing and I've just stopped doing what I was doing, for the sake of the two of us, for the sake of peace and love, and dare say unity. But then there are certain things that I may be doing away from this marriage, which I may continue with. But when I come into this marriage, I have to put a boundary and say, these are not for this marriage. These are applicable somewhere else. You know, God said that you can eat freely of any fruit from the trees that are vast in the garden. But there's only one that you shouldn't touch. You shouldn't eat. That means there is a boundary. There is a limit. What we can do and what we cannot do.
Okay.
Thank you.
What we can do,
Yes.
and what we cannot do.
Yes.
Let me ask, or rather now ask us to talk about these boundaries, like Lillian already alluded to some of them. But let me start with something that is rather common, something that we can see, something that happens to me a lot, the physical boundaries.
Yeah.
When I got married to this lady,
Yeah.
I believe we are one. But then sometimes Linda gets uncomfortable
Yeah.
when I touch her
Yes.
in some places.
Yeah.
Continue, Dave.
Yeah, you see, people are different.
I've just paused.
People have different personalities.
Be
And
careful.
where is he touching me? Is he touching me in public or in private? You see, his touches, yes, there are touches, but where is the appropriate place? Yeah. So sometimes you might be in a place, he's touching you, and someone else is hurting somewhere. So he's hurting that other
Just a
person.
minute.
Yeah.
Let's be honest on this one. Am I culpable on that? What do you have to say on this one?
I will reserve my comment.
Come on. That means there is no answer.
I think it's shared. Maybe Felix
Linda,
can-
I don't entirely agree with you, but we may agree at the end of it. There are some things that if your husband does to you, for example, you just agreed that there should be appropriate places
Yes.
where he can touch. I don't think there should be any problem if he hugs you in public right?
Hug, there's no problem with the hug.
Is there a problem if you had something maybe on your head and he was trying to remove it?
No
So
problem.
what would be these things that if he does, you feel uncomfortable in public?
Felix,
Because I'm also sure
Yes.
he would not just do anything anywhere.
This guy is crazy.
I'm crazy about you.
There's a touch for affirmation,
Yes.
for love.
Yes.
Yes, and that I think can be done anywhere. As long as it can't embarrass us,
Yes.
it's a touch.
That point of
It's
embarrassment.
acceptable.
Yeah, but I think we need to make it clear
Yeah.
to the viewer that it is okay. It is okay, and it depends with the personality.
Exactly.
Because I would be very comfortable
Yeah.
being touched by my husband in public, and no offense to Linda, than being touched by somebody else who is not my spouse.
Yeah, that's
you know, so we are Africans, but can I really say that we are Africans? Because the white culture has really done a lot of influence to us. But when, for example, we want to do the PDA, public
Yes.
display of affection,
affection.
what is my goal? Linda said something.
If
Probably I would be doing it to hurt somebody else who's probably single, who's probably widowed or something. That should not be the goal.
Lillian, your husband spoke in my support, and you look like your space has been tampered with. What do you
Narrowed.
think about this physical?
I support. Because to me, I'll be happy. We are there standing, and then it's like, meet my lovely wife, you know? And then, to me, you know, as a lady,
Yeah.
we should not pretend. We are ladies, and we are jealous.
Yes.
And maybe I've seen or I've noticed that there's somebody who has some eye, is eyeing. So when he does that, it's a reassurance. It's telling that person, I'm already taken. Leave that
stay away.
What about
This is
what about
holy ground.
the other person? Like, I don't know who said it,
Yeah.
that we are in some function on a social place, and then there's this, for my example, there's this lady who is, she's talking to me and holding me
Patting
like
you
this
and- yes,
for some time,
and, yeah.
and I mean, how do you look at that? Because you see, in your mind, that is already a boundary. That is, you get.
Being erected
Someone
there,
is getting into
you
your
shouldn't be
your
there.
boundary, your
Yes.
space, or your territory.
I believe for us to enter into a marriage relationship, we have to be mature.
Thank you.
So I really have to ask
Maturity.
myself, this kind of touch, does it have something beyond? Does it go beyond what I think?
Okay.
Or these are just friends? Because it's the same thing as hugging. You know, as hugging. I will hug, I just hugged you there
Yep.
a few minutes ago. Linda was not there, but now I'm letting her know that I hugged you as a friend.
And I was there.
And he was there. He was there.
I didn't have any problem with
Wow.
that.
Yes.
And that is why I would support a statement by saying, I love it because we are talking about marriage and boundaries.
Right.
When there is a boundary, it doesn't mean I cannot see beyond the boundaries, but I have my limits.
Yes.
A holy touch
Thank
to
you.
a pal or a friend.
Yeah.
I think as long as we understand why
Right.
we are in marriage,
Yeah.
Yes.
and the respect that my spouse deserves, then there shouldn't be any problem.
But
think,
Dave, you need to remember that before Linda met you, she had friends.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Oh.
And therefore,
All
you
right.
getting married does not mean that she parts. She parts ways with her friends.
Yes.
Her friends are still in her life.
And again, there's another thing that people are very different. There are people who are always touchy. The way people have been brought up. So
Yeah.
there are some you can't even avoid.
Like
Yeah.
myself. Huh?
Accepted.
There are some things that you cannot avoid because it's someone's personality. Maybe he wants to talk to you while touching you so that he feels that you're getting
You're
my
getting-
point.
yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes
I-
even as we look at maybe someone touching them, I need not to have that evil mind. Because whatever we think about will surely come to pass. So it's their friend, maybe the way they communicate. So if he has gotten used to it, what will I do? It is to accept what it's okay with him, yeah?
I like, Richard, I want you to talk about, we've not even talked about intimacy.
Yes.
And the boundaries that come with it.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't understand how that then now there is now you see, now it's the two of us and we are talking about intimacy.
Yes.
And yet there is supposed to be some boundaries. I mean, what does that mean? Because I want us to talk about financial boundaries.
Yes. There are things that which we need to really guard around, which are very intimate. And for us as couples, we need to really guard that. For example, Lillian was talking about the part and everything. There are moments, you would agree, Lillian, that if you are with Felix and somebody draws Felix behind the curtain and something goes on there, then you're beginning to wonder, why has this to be done away from the view of everybody? It means that intimacy has been moved aside. You know, between you and your wife, I mean your husband, there must be things that are limited to only you. If my wife does books and she sells books, and somebody hears her speaking, and one is moved and comes there and comes to part her for what she has been doing, I'm happy. You know, she's being acknowledged for the work she's doing, which is going to bring more sales probably. But if somebody comes there, and in my mind I know that she's going to be patted on the back, and then the mouth is drawn closer and the kiss goes, then I'm thinking, no, that's my space. That is not a place that anybody would want to do with my wife. That has to be done with somebody else. But for my wife, that is mine. We are very intimate. We are very close. We are entangled and attached within our hearts and in our minds. You cannot break that, you know, because there is a limit. Neither would she, I believe, will allow me to do that with any other lady. That one cannot be interfered with. But a normal one, just a praise or just something that is done, or rather, I see her doing whatever I'm pleased with, I'm liking it, I'm going there and say, come on, give me a quick pair. It's a pair, tap, finished. I'm happy because of that. But not more than that. More than that will draw my attention and it will leave me with so many questions in my mind. Why? Why? I wouldn't be comfortable. I'm sorry.
You know, I thought that the physical boundary would be very easy for us to go through, but it appears that it is very weighty.
Yes.
But let us hold it there,
Yep.
and look at the financial boundaries. There are people or there are couples who constantly fight because the boundaries have been extended. Or rather the boundaries have been broken in terms of finance, in terms of spending, saving and budgeting. What is your experience, Felix and Lillian?
Yes, that is a very interesting part in marriage. And it's true that a lady shall leave their people and cross borders to the other side.
Actually, the Bible says it is the man that leaves. But it's okay. We understand.
Oh, fine. So, in other words, or what I'm trying to say in short,
Yes.
we come together and start our family, start our home.
Yeah.
Building a home involves the use of finances.
Very much so.
That is what will make us get food on the table,
Yeah.
will make us raise our children in a better way, and so on and so forth. So I would say this, we must give priority to our marriage, our families first. And we are not in any way saying that we limit any kind of help we can give to others, but let it start from the family. When my wife is happy, when I am happy, we've done all that we need to do in our marriage, then I don't think there would be any problem with extending the help to other people.
In other words, what Felix
situation.
is saying,
Yes.
for example, is whatever you're getting, Lillian has to be aware of whatever you're getting. Whatever Richard is getting,
Yes.
I have to be aware. Or whatever I am getting, vice versa.
And it's
More
so
than
that-
more than that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But,
So that we, as a couple, or especially the woman, let me talk as a woman,
Yeah.
I don't think of so much that is going on in Richard's life that is not happening. So that, for example, if he's getting 1 shilling a month, I don't think that he's getting 10 shillings. Meaning, if I know what is going on in the financial world, there is not going to be any problem of trust. Yes.
I- you see
let me
sometimes-
put it like this. Huh? You, are you going to forget?
Yes.
Okay, so.
You see, sometimes there was a situation, a friend of mine, they got married, and after getting married, the husband will support his own place. Then, on the other side, there was nothing that went over there. So it brought a lot of so much clash.
Tension,
Yeah, and tension. So she had to look for money. When the husband will leave her money, she will take some, send it to the mother, because it seems the husband doesn't want to support this other side. So I think when we are married, we need to agree. You need to support both sides, because I also have my parent, you have yours. But let it not be biased. Like you do it on your side, and my side, you just assume it.
I think that is, can also work on the
Well,
other side. Yes,
I-
even women
yeah.
were very bad at
I have this question, and maybe I would ask Lillian, and Richard will also respond. We have agreed this is what we are going to spend on this month.
Yes.
It is 5 shillings, and this is how we are going to break it. Then I give it to Linda. Linda goes, and instead of coming
I
back,
multiply.
she spends 1 shilling on something else. Do you have such cases where Felix goes and buys himself nice shoes instead of buying groceries in the house?
We do. We do. You know, you'll budget with 5 shillings. This 5 shillings is meant for
A,
Milk.
B, C, whatever it is.
grocery.
and any other thing. But when you move to the supermarket, you get something else that you didn't budget for. Automatically, as human beings, you'll go for what you didn't budget
Now
for.
that is the devil.
And that is why, and that is why I talked about communication. You gave me this. I am sorry. I picked this instead of that.
But all is well.
But all is well.
Yeah,
I
there's
will
still
find
food.
a way of
Yes.
ensuring that this thing is
But don't make noise because he has spent that money. In the, there's
Why?
food on the
Richard,
table.
you had Linda in support that all is well.
Yeah.
You know, if we budget for something and you go to the shop, wherever it is, supermarket, and you don't get what you wanted on the cost which we budgeted for, sorry, then don't take it. Come back and consult.
Hey.
And
The reason is this. The reason is this. The reason is this.
That be your
I have my
protected door.
points.
Because I am very weak in that area. I won't lie to you. I am crazy about mugs.
One thing
So
that interferes with what we budget for will interfere even in the next one.
it does.
What if
Unless-
I
just a minute, Linda.
compensate?
Just a minute.
What if I compensate?
how would
Thank
you
you.
do that?
How do you compensate? We have the same finances.
I will
Whatever
hustle.
you bring in is the same I bring in.
If
We have agreed. Why are you going to compensate it for?
But why
Tell
would
me
it
I
be,
will
other
hustle.
sources. Just tell me other sources of
why would it
finances.
be a problem if I don't bring this product?
But I bring it in
but
the house.
Why would it? Why will it? Is it a problem? I was supposed to bring 2 packets of milk.
Thank you.
I brought
Brought
one.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That is a problem. But now, when I'm supposed to bring 2 and I bring 4, it is not a problem.
And then apart from that, Lillian,
not
apart
my
from that,
point
Lillian,
at all.
for example,
That's
yes,
not my point.
I'm giving my example. Okay, we have that budget for grocery, and then just like I said, I have a weakness in Big Macs. I love Big Macs.
you love
I
it.
love Big Macs. I go to the store and I look at a mug and I'm like, okay, that can stay. At the end of the day, it's not like for my personal use. This
the
mug is
family,
going
for
to
the
help
family.
even the guests that come, you know.
Some of us are sentimental.
And
When I have my bag, I'm going to use it until it breaks before I attach any
But
other.
we have guests.
But anyway,
So
Anyway, when you are budgeting for whatever you want to expend your money on, you budget and make sure that you extend the budget a little more because prices could even change
That is true.
and may interfere with your
Yeah,
budget.
that I agree.
So that is okay.
Yeah.
And you can buy the 4 packets of milk instead of 2, which you needed. But at the worst point, if we have to go with the budget so that we don't interfere with that, in any case, even under budgeting, we should be saving.
right.
That's why you go into the supermarket to look at which one
The
is
sales.
cheaper than the other one. we actually thinking about saving for the purpose of our family. So if we need only 2 packets and something is touching you to bring 3, consider that the devil. I don't think it's right. Because the 2 are enough for you. The 2 are enough for you. Why do you want 4?
Now,
Because we look at tomorrow.
Yes.
let's agree that boundaries are there, but
They
in
can
some
be-
cases,
They can be
We-
less
we-
than
Rules are there to be
broken.
broken.
rules are there to be broken. Now, at least now we're in agreement.
Yeah.
We want to move up,
Yeah.
and before that, we want to take a short break. We've only talked about 2. We've talked about physical boundaries. We've talked about financial boundaries. We haven't talked about time, social, emotional. There's a lot for us to discuss. Let's take a break, and as we are coming back, we will have to revisit these finances, even if it is off camera. We'll have to revisit because some of us are affected. After this, we are coming back.
Hello children, I have great news for you. A brand new season of Bible Treasure Quest is coming soon. Do you know why you believe what you believe? There are things about our faith that are important for us to understand as children. Watch this brand new season and learn more through quizzes, games, stories, and songs. Don't miss out.
This is Family Times, and we are talking about marriage boundaries. And we have still agreeing to disagree that there are boundaries. Others believe that there are no boundaries. We've talked about physical boundaries. We've talked about financial boundaries, and that bit of financial is a bit emotive. And now that we are going to talk about emotional boundaries, ladies and gentlemen, there are no boundaries. Emotional boundaries. When now feelings come in, when you know, sometimes there are things that we say to our spouses that affect them emotionally, not considering where you are saying it. So emotional boundaries. Felix.
Yes. That is another part that we really need to check, because when you are in marriage, you should be able to understand the emotional part, especially in your from your wife. That those who have characters that you really must entertain, you must take care of to make that marriage work. What I may like may not be what she likes. What I like doing may not be good with her. Therefore, emotionally, I must support my wife so that we can build our marriage. What is that thing that, if I say to her, is not okay with her? How do I address things that may not be right with me, but apparently she did them? So when we are able to understand such in our marriages, then it will be easier for us to even address them when there are issues, so that we do not make them suffer emotionally.
How do you feel when I use hurtful language that is not mine? Because when you're talking about boundaries, look at it like this piece of paper here. When I'm in the middle, I'm very safe. But when I go towards the end, I can easily Get out of this.
Get
What,
out and-
how do you feel when I use certain language that to you you feel is not right?
But then, you know, like I always say, words are so powerful. We are emotional beings. I have feelings.
Yes.
There are things that will hurt me, there are things that will make me happy. So as we stay together, there are hurtful words when you say to someone, they will never ever get out of their memory. They will forever remember. And you see, if you constantly tell me of the negative words, my relationship with you definitely will be something else. It will be turning worse. So for us to live together, you need to be considerate. Put yourself in my shoe. If you're the one receiving those words, are they nice to you before you say them? So I think sometimes we need to pause, find a way of operating so that we don't hurt the other person. We are considerate and treat them with mercy.
That was directly directed to me.
Yeah.
I've taken them positively.
Sometimes it can be very difficult to put a boundary, especially in emotional issues, because I get excited, for example. Something happens, I'm just excited. I'm very happy about it. And in that time, in that moment, I may spill to a place where she's not happy. Because emotionally, I say something to her and then it affects her. While she may not have told me early that don't do this because the situation where I'm that excited has not arisen. So it becomes quite difficult. But a careful step, a very good observation, emotionally, you can easily know that what I've stated or what I've done is not good. It has not been received well with my partner or my wife. So let me default. The moment I have seen that I've done something that's not right, I quickly need to default so that she understands that it was just a moment. A moment of craziness, a moment of something which is not really myself. But under normal circumstances, these are not very acceptable things. She doesn't want me patting ladies around here emotionally or whatever it is. I must keep the boundary. I think we need to practice that by learning our partners and they learning as well us so that we are not able to emotionally challenge each other.
So it's good for someone to understand a partner, the background. It's very key. Because I've been raised in a very abusive family, so anything can trigger me. So maybe we will not relate well if you don't understand my past. So I think it's necessary for you to understand your partner's past so that you are able to know how to balance and know how to treat them.
Before we go to way forward, because this is very important, that it is important to understand. But there is one more. Friends and family. Before I give Lillian a chance to speak her mind, I am one person who subscribes to this school of thought that when you are within the first 3 years of marriage, there should be no relative.
Wow.
You should stay together, learn one another, understand one another.
That is a little...
All factors constant. But I understand that there are situations. For example, maybe you're the firstborn, you have to take care of your siblings.
You are an orphan, probably.
But factors constant. Lillian, what do you think?
And that is why Linda said, you have to understand my background.
Correct.
I am this orphan, I'm the firstborn, and the other, my siblings depend on me. I will not go get married to Felix and then dump them. So once he understands that these people depend on me, then we will welcome them to our home. And that is now where we'll set our boundaries. How do we relate with our relatives in this marriage? What do we tell them? We define. And they also need to know that this is our house.
And
Felix and Lillian's house. So when you are here, you are like, you are neighbors, but we are living together. So this is the point we reach with you. Don't cross this line.
I think she's explained it.
Felix, I'm getting to you. Felix is just giving a rejoinder.
I agree. However, one thing that Lillian must know, that my time should be my time.
That's what they
We must start our marriage in a good style. Give me all the time I need, be with me wherever I want to be. The other people will also come in, but I must be number one in that marriage.
I think she has really explained it well. Now, Felix.
Felix has also given another aspect of the boundary, which you are coming to.
The way Felix is saying, I think Felix has it in mind that it is just Lillian's relatives. I want you to also think about that it could be your relatives. Yes.
And in that way, it remains the same.
Exactly.
Whether from my side or whichever side, whether they are my brothers or whatever,
Thank you.
we welcome them home.
And that is why we have to speak from the same script.
Right.
When I say don't get inside my bedroom,
he should not go behind.
The same thing.
Yes. And actually a bedroom is a boundary. When you're in marriage,
It is.
you know, like
private business.
unlike when you are single,
With my wife.
you would invite friends. They can come to your bedroom. They can do whatever.
and that
thing
is
they
why
want.
they are coming.
Yes.
But we are telling them, do this, don't do this.
Right.
That's true.
This is our house.
Right. Wow.
We.
Richard,
I like that. I think those are well-defined boundaries.
I think.
My space, my time, and her time. All these considered. Everything should remain like that. There are places where there is no freedom of decisions to decide you're coming. My bedroom is my bedroom. It has boundaries. You want to come in, I'll allow you only if you knock. If not, I'll send you away, running. You have no business here. Thank you. You may have a business in the kitchen because you are her brother or her sister, and my brother may have, depending on her view of what the kitchen is and who can go in there, but she can also draw some boundaries. That in my kitchen, don't come from outside there and pick salt and take it away without my knowledge. You know, she can draw those boundaries. It will be very difficult for me to tell my brother, don't go to that kitchen because my wife, what do you want in the kitchen in the first place? But you could be helpful to her in the kitchen, very well. But she sets the boundaries, you know. But so, before that, if I may just jump a little out, then come back. Some of the problems we have with these boundaries, they arise from the fact that we are not truthful. From the onset. We are getting married and we are not truthful to each other. I don't say things about my family and whoever is closer to me, and she doesn't say that, so we don't know where to set boundaries. And we don't address our people with that in mind. I don't draw my sisters and brothers and say, you know, this is my wife. And
your mother-in-law coming.
if she doesn't like it like that, you know I'm in agreement with her. Don't do it. If she doesn't like that, don't do it. And she would also do the same with the brothers and sisters, so that we create boundaries right from the onset. Because we are not truthful with these things. We are basking in love, we want to get married, so we kind of, you know, yes, we are silent. We are hoping that things will just be okay. When they blow up, then we become
disaster.
It becomes disastrous, as you want to say.
how then do you now help me?
Yes.
I feel that I don't spend enough time with my wife. I don't get enough time from her because marriage has a lot, especially when you have your space, the two of you. When now children begin to come, you will also maybe need someone to come and support you, maybe to look after the children if you're away. Then now there's a lot that is happening. Then we even forget that we are supposed to be intimate. We don't have that time. I go to, you know, we go to bed and we are poop dead asleep. So how would you help someone like me?
Most people think that, for example, spending time with your spouse is expensive. Or they think that spending time with your spouse means money. That's not true. Most of the times we find that right now, most people wake up in the morning, they go to work, come back at 6, you're tired, and it's the same cycle. Every day. Sabbath, you go to church, yes. But probably you're in this different department or you're in the board or whatever. So by the time you're coming back home, it is 7 p.m. You're tired. On Sundays, you're off definitely. So my point is you have to be intentional. Make sure that you create time as the priest of the house, apart from leading the worship and everything. Be creative. Say, hey, let's go hang out.
Yeah.
You can
Or we
even, if
can
you
farm,
live
we
in the
can do
village
something.
like me, you can even, you know, stroll, go to the nearby center.
Or
If you-
farm, or do
or
something.
farm. It is really
That's
fun
how-
to just
yeah.
be together. And that, guess what? That really excites us as women. Am I talking to somebody? Yes. So that when
As a preacher.
The men are loaded.
I feel like preaching right
The men are loading.
yes, when women, when you start, you know, you spend more time with them, there's going to be more happiness. But you spend more time at work with more people, even me, I spend more time, but you cannot.
Is it,
So it's
is it,
being
is it
intentional
acceptable?
in short. Yeah.
Is it
Intentional
acceptable?
and doing things that you both like.
Exactly.
Together. It's,
Yeah.
Can you
that is
seek
part
time
of-
Yeah.
for your spouse?
Can you?
Can you seek time from your spouse, even when they're busy doing something else?
Communication.
For example, I come home and I feel I have freedom and I feel like being very close to her, and she's cooking, and I'm in the kitchen where she's cooking. And within that space, I'm trying to talk her, I'm trying to bring her up to my my emotional feelings at this moment. And she's busy. She
Because
kind
you're
of
not
just
helping,
wants
you
to
need to
relegate
come
me
and
to the
take
second
some
place,
onions.
away from here. Like, I think you should add a little more salt. And nothing is being done. She is busy doing something else. I'm trying to bring up that, in the sense, I have time. I have space of time here, and I want to spend it very close to her. But then she has a mind on something else and continues. Is it,
What you
is
can
it,
do,
is it, yes.
what you can do, you can
Thank
say,
you.
okay, for example, I am cooking. For example, you can
Yes.
say, can I help you cut some
Yeah.
onions? Can I help you even do the dishes?
Get
We do
involved.
this
Get
together.
involved, yes.
I don't mean that.
Yes.
I can do that.
Yeah.
You can even tell me, please do this for me.
Yeah.
Because you want to engage me.
Yeah.
I want to engage you. So, can you just give me a moment? Zima jiko.
But we need to eat. We need to eat, Felix, right?
This food is
But
being
you
made
can
for
get-
me.
That is the point where you need to understand the differences. Because,
Thank you.
I mean,
Yeah.
that is bordering selfishness. What time are you going to eat?
Sure. And
So-
you need to sleep early.
What are we saying to this couple that maybe they have issues emotionally, financially,
They need to sort
physically?
it out.
They need to sort it
Yeah,
out.
sit down and look for where the rain started beating them. You need to sit down. You'll definitely know.
They have the
what.
answer.
Yeah, they have the answer. So communication. They'll just sit down.
Communication.
And pray about it.
And with a lot of maturity.
And also be open-minded to also be able to hear the other side of, without being judgmental.
I think what Lyndon has said about maturity, I always say this and I will say this again. Maturity does not mean that the older person has to be mature. Even me, I could be younger, but I'm mature. Meaning put down and say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking, but don't have this conversation when you're angry. No, it won't help. Make sure that when you're all happy and like, hey, you know what? I don't know how you refer to each other, but refer to your spouse with the best name that you can say. What do you think? How about we have a walk to whatever? How about we go to this place? And I think it will be fun.
How do you build healthy boundaries with friends and family members, especially friends? Because I think family members, it was well underscored
Yes.
that this couple did it so well.
Yeah.
That they in fact, even within the house,
Yeah.
there are sub-boundaries.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and there are the bigger boundary and sub-boundaries. Friends,
Yes.
I see Richard Linda has this toxic friend. How would you help me to deal with this toxic friend of Linda?
Be open. Say it. Speak it to her. Let her know that you are not very comfortable with he or she doing A, B, C, D, E. Can you speak to her or to him? Can you tell him? Can you get a way of making him, just informing him? Because I'm not comfortable with that. I don't like it. Please put a boundary.
Okay.
That's the best way.
I know we
I
talked
think.
about it, but it is very hard to tell,
Yes.
for example, his brother.
Yes.
Because some toxic relationships can also be from within the family. I'm sorry, I'm
Exactly.
taking you
No,
back.
it's okay. It's okay. It's important.
But I think find a neutral person. Find a neutral
To address
person
it.
to address it. Because, for example, if it's from my sister who is toxic,
Yes.
how will it be? Which, you know,
It will
unless
look,
it will be very
yeah.
hard for now Richard to talk to my sister and say, you know what, I think I don't like you. You know.
My reference was, when I was giving out this answer, was I let you know so you can address them.
That's why it can be a little
reconsider.
tricky. Dave, it's very tricky for me to tell my sister, you know what, Richard doesn't like you, for example.
But I think you would handle that one maturely. As you're talking about maturity, you get a way of just informing the person.
I am talking to this viewer who is probably confused, you know, he's like, oh no, my in-law is doing this, my sister is doing this. They still.
But I think he will tell you what he doesn't like about your sister.
Yes.
And
So even you in your own,
he'll tell you, I don't like the way she gossips, I don't like what she does.
Yeah.
So once he tells you,
yes.
it is you to find a way of reaching out to your sister. You know, you will not tell your sister that, I'll not tell my sister that Felix is not happy with your issue of gossiping. I'll tell her, you know, you talk too much, it's not right, try to limit.
Yes.
So she'll think that I'm the one who is talking, yet I'm talking on behalf of my husband.
Address it as if it is yours.
Because again, you have to look at the relationship between your husband and your sister.
That is true. And I brought it up because of that viewer who is like, this is something
which is very important. Now, this is what I want us to do, even as we now get to the final bit of marriage boundaries. I want Felix and Lillian to help this viewer understand how the two of you work around time, so that you spend, in as much as you may not be able to spend quantity time, how you spend your quality time. Because I understand that there are people who live no, I mean, they don't live together. They see each other maybe over the weekend or stuff like that. What would you tell this viewer?
Dear viewer, people must work. People may not be in the same place at the same time. But at the end of the day, your marriage has to stand. Create time, balance your time, so that whatever time is required for you to be with your family, you ensure that nothing comes before that. At the end of the day, you must work so that you can get food to the table. Understand your wife. And that is why, even before we get into marriage, we do courtship. I understand how my wife works, what she likes, how she would want me to be with her, what amount of time she would require, maybe in a week or a month. If I'm able to balance that, if I'm able to acknowledge that it's her that I must give most of my time in building our family, then having that balance will not be a problem. Never give up, because it is possible. There are families who work in different places, but their families are doing good because they create time, they build their marriages through balancing all that, and all goes on well.
Thank you. That's
and I think before he comes, he let me know that now I'm in Nairobi, I'll be coming over the weekend. Then I have to organize myself, because I'm going to see him on Saturday and Sunday. If there is anything else to do in my workplace, that has to stop first. Let me give him my time over the weekend, then I can make up during the week after he's gone back to work. So family comes first.
There shouldn't be anything to hinder you from doing
I love that.
That kind of thing.
Richard and Tabitha, I want you to talk about physical boundary as you give these words of encouragement to our viewer.
Between me and her? Oh, okay. It's easier to say physical boundaries when we're referring to other people. But between me and her, I don't think there's a limit, and unless we have to look left and right, back and forth, you know, anything that will make you or me, for that matter, try to look back and besides and think who is watching, that should be put in a boundary, in the sense that don't do, or may I not touch you, or do anything physical that may make you have to shudder and look at people and trees and whatever is looking at you. You know, because then it means that we have to choose a place where we can have anything that is more extended than it would look normal to anyone else. But it's very tricky, Dave. It's very tricky. And I want to address our viewers, tell them that we need to think about such kind of things. Physical, you know, is tricky because amongst children, for example, in our cultures we have to respect the children when we have to go into touches and things like that. And we also have to do that amongst people who are more older than us. They like parents. And so, please, what is private, let us keep it private. But what can be done in front of people, in front of everyone, probably that can be acceptable. But we must also quote it very well, to the extent that whoever is seeing what we are doing, the two of us, lives there knowing that that was done for appreciation and love, but that was not done for anything more than that. Yes.
Tabby, what sayest thou?
I think what I can say is, as married people, we should not have boundaries. I don't know, I might be wrong.
That makes the two of us.
But outside,
there's a
we should have boundaries.
There's a bad.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. I agree.
So I want to encourage my dear viewer who is watching and saying, hey, it's not working out for me. I just want to encourage you to pray hard and communicate. And I promise you, if you make your family if you have a lovely family, remember the church will also be lovely. Because if there is no family, there is not going to be any church.
Very true.
Thank you.
Very true.
Linda, I want to set you free. I don't have boundaries for you. You can talk to the viewer.
Dear viewer,
I like that.
what I will wish to tell you is that you need to understand your spouse, understand their background. If that is intact, then I know you will be able to maneuver around. And may God bless you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Our viewer, as always, we would ask you, what do you think? Because here, we have defined boundaries, we have set the boundaries, we have redefined the boundaries, and I can still tell you that we are still redefining these boundaries because we realize that the boundaries that we thought we had are even stronger than what we have. We have boundaries in the kitchen, we have boundaries with our friends, we have boundaries with our time, we have a lot of boundaries. So don't forget to tell us what you think through the numbers on your screen. We have been talking about marriage boundaries and we have had this very amazing couple, Felix and Lillian. Thank you so much and God bless you. Continue doing what you're doing. Tabby and Richard, we also want to thank you. You've been a very blessing and instrumental to this family times and to us, Linda and myself. From myself and from Linda, we say thank you so much. We have another one coming that is very strong, stronger than what we have just discussed. Stay tuned because this is Family Times.